pies. Does me heart good.
They're on the main course now.
Oh, I do hope they like the lamb and potatoes.
I noticed you prepared a cold salad with potato and scallions, the potato soup, dessert,
Souffle
potato.
and other ingredients as well.
I see. Is it, Miss Quinn, by the way?
Mrs. Quinn.
No.
Me husband was lost at sea in 39.
Oh, sorry. Children? Family?
I'm afraid God did not bless us with any. Very inquisitive, aren't we, Mr. Farnsworth?
Nicholas.
Nicholas. Well, me father's passed on. 'Twas a grand wake, it was. Mother's doing well. I have 11 brothers and sisters living in Ireland. And 3 are in heaven.
Have you read all of Dickens' books?
Aye, several times each. He's quite popular in Ireland, you know. His stories are of the common man, the human spirit. To my way of thinking, the English poor and the Irish have much in common.
We, the English, poor or otherwise, have things in common with the Irish. Dear Lord! Do you mean to say that you and I have things in common?
Well, carried to the extreme case, I suppose we do. And have you read all of Dickens' books?
Certainly. Well, not every word, mind you.
Any words? Or do you just know what they're about from the titles and the talk at the pub?
The family is most certainly awaiting to have their dinner dishes cleared and your sumptuous dessert, a potato souffle.
The potato was just to add texture.
To a souffle?
I'd be glad to read them to you. The books, that is.
It's just that I don't have a lot of time to read with all of the positions I hold here. Dickens can be such a miser in some ways, you know.
A Scrooge, we would refer to him as in Ireland. But I'm not convinced he is one.
Scrooge? What a strange word. By the way, why do the Irish eat so many potatoes?
'Tis your fault.
My fault? For up to me, you'd all eat kidney pie and bloaters.
Oh, a thrilling prospect. The English landlords what took our land now charge such a high rent that all the money we make from the crops must go to paying it. That leaves just a wee plot of land to raise food for the table. Potatoes are the only thing known to mankind that can be raised on a wee plot of land to feed a large family.
It's time to clear the dinner dishes, then dessert. Mr. Dickens will then have his port in the study while he prepares to write his story. Irish. Just what we need around here. And a reader. It's a devil of a potato soup, though. Kathleen Quinn. Father would turn over in his grave, he would.
Nicholas! agreed that both of you will be in a little play as well. If there are more characters needed than the family can accommodate.
Mrs. Quinn said that? Dear Lord!
It will be such fun. We will spend much of the day tomorrow learning our lines and gathering props and such. Maybe you can help us in that regard as well, Nicholas.
I will be quite busy with my regular duties, Miss Katie.
Oh, I see.
That's all right, Katie. We can assemble suitable costumes for the roles Nicholas will play. We can get them decided. We'll have all sorts of fun picking outrageous colors for him to wear.
Perhaps I can spend some time to assist you. But I have not agreed to participate, mind you.
Children, it's time for dessert. Very lovely dinner, Kathleen.
Thank you, Mrs. Dickens.
I understand you have volunteered my services to participate in this play. It might have occurred to you to ask my permission before doing so. I mean, really. Memorizing lines, learning where to come in, where to stand, and all that rot. An act? Be dramatic? I'm not sure I can be dramatic at the drop of a hat.
I am sure you will make do. I think they liked the dinner. Mrs. Dickens said it was lovely. The children went right to bed without a word.
Well, it is Christmas Eve.
So it is. But back home, there was no rush to go off to bed. You see, there were no presents as there are here. We did look forward to Christmas Day, though. A lovely mass, and then a big breakfast with bacon. We would find a bit of ribbon to tie to the door. And to welcome friends and relatives that would visit during the day. This garland. We can decorate. You can help, Mr. Farnsworth.
Grand.
Oh, lovely. On Christmas, I would help Mother and the older girls prepare the Christmas dinner. Maybe a chicken if we were in good fortune. Or some mutton stew. Is it going to stay, Mr. Farnsworth?
Your guess is as good as mine. Miss Quinn.
Oh, Doll would give us all a sip of his special Christmas brew, which I suspected for years was a little Irish whiskey and a lot of water, with a bit of cinnamon and cloves, heated over the fire.
Ah, Mr. Dickens must be wanting some more port. Some of our finest collaborations come when he's had an extra port or two, followed by an extra brandy or two. Puts him in a most suggested state.
To be sure. Nicholas Farnsworth? Me father would turn over in his grave. Gardening after nightfall.
No, this is just to give himself a fresh bunch of flowers, cheery-like, to put him in the Christmas writing mood, so to speak.
And do you think that he will think that you grew the flowers in the garden in winter?
No, he is a writer, but he's not that daft. That's a nice touch, don't you think?
Well, it does, as a matter of fact.
Welcome to Devonshire Terrace Manor, and a Merry Christmas, Mrs. Quinn. Now what did I do? I never have understood English women, and now I have an Irish one to well, deal with, I suppose.
You're making me dizzy with all this uniform changing.
Are you all right?
Quite so, thank you. It's just that I've never received flowers or a Christmas present from anyone.
It was just a flower.
Oh, it was a lovely gesture. Thank you.
Oh, I see it's time now to turn down the beds.
In your upstairs maid uniform, I believe.
I think my present attire will do. Thank you very much.
But you must follow the schedule to the letter.
Well, may I ask who made up the schedule?
Well, I did, of course. I am the head of staff here.
Head of staff? I don't think so. Mrs. Dickens expressly told me that I work for her and that you work for Mr. Dickens.
She said that?
Aye, she did. So, I am head of the governess, maid, and cooking staff. And you, Mr. Farnsworth, are head of the butler, doorman, coachman, and gardening staff.
Nicholas, please call me Nicholas.
Oh. And you may call me Mrs. Quinn. Did he like the flowers?
Flowers? Oh, yes, I suppose so. What type of flowers do they grow in Ireland, anyway?
Potato blooms, mostly.
Ah.
Is he writing the story now?
No, he's sipping his port and smoking his pipe and thinking storylines and such. Men such as ourselves are always thinking.
To be sure.
I do need to get his writership writing, however, or we will be up all night.
We? I certainly do not intend to stay awake all this night.
I'll get you a cup of tea. Here's a spot of the old Rosie. Now, what did your family do on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day other than cook and eat?
Not much we didn't do all year long, I'm afraid. Except maybe count our blessings.
Count your blessings.
Potato blooms. That ought to feed his Irish stereotype for a few more years.
Tell me more about your blessings.
rest his soul, worked night and day, he did. In the morning he tended the crops and sheep, and past noon till night he worked for a miserly old man, helping in his warehouse in town.
Miser. You said Scrooge earlier.
One and the same. Scrooge. The word really sounds English, don't you think? Well, the old man that owned the warehouse was tighter than tight with a penny. He did give Father Christmas Day off from his labors, though. So it was a very special day at our home.
But when you were small, you didn't scurry off to bed early.
Oh, we always went to bed early. But on Christmas Eve, we would spend most of the night whispering stories of fairies to each other.
Fairies?
Yes.
Irish fairies. I know of them. Little green fellows with pointed ears.
Oh, no. Those are leprechauns. Fairies are altogether different. They appear different to different people.
More like ghosts.
Could be, I suppose.
Did you hear the bell? Mr. Dickens also needed my services.
I did not hear any bell.
I must see what his lordship requires and how the story is coming along.
Well, Mr. Dickens best be turning out additional good books. As those Americans are starting to make real headway. Washington Irving, for example. Now, I don't fancy Headless Horseman as a subject matter, mind you. But he does tell a good tale. Although, it would have been better if he'd been named for a saint instead of a city. Then there's James Fenimore Cooper. What a lovely name for a writer. Fancy seeing him someday. Stories of Indians and the wilds of the New World. Very romantic. And how's the story coming?
Much better. He's writing at a furious pace now, and he's asked for a spot of brandy. Just out of curiosity, what were these stories of fairies about?
Oh, every subject under the sun and moon. But at Christmas, they were often of fairies who were trying to make the humans they encountered better people for making their acquaintance. Teaching them the wrongs of their ways, so to speak.
Oh, that is good. That is very good.
Very good for what?
Mr. Dickens is waiting for his brandy.
Curious. I am wondering if the port and brandy all make it to the study.
Oh, this is getting exciting. He's got a gleam in his eye, he does. So, Christmas was a happy time for you and your family.
Well, for the most part it was. There was a very sad Christmas several years back. I had a brother, Thomas. We called him Wee Tom. He had a mysterious ailment. He suffered so, but never complained. We had no money for fancy doctors, and the town physician said just to make him comfortable. Poor Wee Tom. He died on Christmas Day.
but he's back to right now.
You told him of wee Tom.
Ah, he asked why there was a tear in me eye.
I see. I see. I always wanted to be a writer. Two can play at this game. And you, Mr. Farnsworth, Nicholas, what memories have you of Christmas from your childhood?
Not very pleasant, I'm afraid. Most of my youth was spent in an orphanage. Christmas time we usually got the best meal of the year, which was no great effort. Some men and women would come by from the village with a small toy or treat. They'd take up a collection from all the businesses in the town, but they always said the collections were poor due to the economy or some other factor. What I longed for, most of all, was to visit a relative. Any relative, no matter how distant. Have a fine meal, sing some songs, be happy, if only for that one day.
The bell. I heard the bell this time. Let me see what Mr. Dickens requires.
I didn't hear the bell.
He said he's writing a grand story now.
Right. They are arrogant, aren't they? Grand story. Who does Dickens think he is? Does he think that someday in 100 years, the word Dickens will be added to the King's English? People will say, "Oh, Dickens, sleeping like the Dickens. A Dickens of a time. Is he mad?" What? More caroling? More Christmas cheer? I will not have it with all this singing. Haven't these people a home?
One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, ho, 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 time and again, while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding dong, that is the song. Wind rolling, all hail the ding dong, ding dong, dong. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere.